Remember earlier in 2025 when we were talking about Gl.iNet and their Wi-Fi 7 travel router, the Slate 7? I think a lot of users kind of scoffed at it because it didn't feature support of the 6 gigahertz frequency. It had MLO, but that was really it. Now, this is where things change, because right now what you're looking at is the Slate 7 Pro. This is the scale up of that device. It has all of the familiar features we've seen, but again, scaled up. We've got that VPN button there on the side. We have got the support of 2.5 gigabit networking there on the rear and USB power delivery. But there have been changes. Two of the biggest changes, number one being that display, a bigger, brighter display to get more real-time information about your travel router on the go. But moreover, we've seen them now integrate that 6 gigahertz frequency there. This is a tri-band travel router, still taking advantage of that Qualcomm 4-core processor, taking advantage of 1 gig of DDR4 memory, and a scale up, from what I understand, of 8 gig for the OS. NAND SSD storage inside. Again, still looking for confirmation on that, but it does look like they have scaled up the storage from the arguably rather middling 512 NAND inside the predecessor there. But again, it is, the real show stealer here is the fact that now we've got support of all 3 bands. So again, you're looking at 2.4, 5 and 6 gigahertz frequency support, which means, again, let's stick with megabytes for a change. 68 megabytes plus 288 megabytes plus 576 megabytes on. And if you take advantage of MLO, you're looking at some great stuff there. Again, it seems to be a little earlier in development here, and I do wonder how many users are now going to sort of regret buying the original Slate 7. Now they know this is on the horizon, almost certainly they're going to increase the price here. And it's also worth touching on, as you've seen on the edge of the lens, there is still the Beryl 7. This is the upgrade to one of my favorite little low-impact travel routers that we talked about before. So the Beryl 7 scales up upon the original Beryl 6, but more in line with the Slate 7. So it does support Wi-Fi 7, but it doesn't take advantage of the 6 gigahertz frequency. Byte of DDR4 memory and 512 megabytes of NAND OS SSD inside there. Again, the lack of 6 gigahertz is going to disappoint some. It does take advantage of MLO, of course, but that alongside dual 2.5 LAN and WAN support there, alongside a 5 gig USB and USB Type-C power, means this is an interesting scale up on the original Beryl AX device, but it is designed for lower impact. So again, 12 watt power usage via the USB. And once you compare it against the original Beryl, you're talking about, this is a quad core versus that of the dual core that came before. This has got more storage. It's the same RAM, but at least it's scaled up the network connections. And once you compare, for example, the Slate 7 with that, because where this sits with the original Slate 7 is going to be interesting, this weighs more than 100 grams less. It doesn't have the LCD, and the power usage is significantly lower. It does have less RAM than Slate 7, but it does still make it an interesting proposition for those looking for a much lesser impact. Ultimately, both of these form part of the scale-up of the newer generation travel routers from Gl.iNet, and it's going to be really interesting to see just where they go with this. But let's crack on with the rest of CES. Thanks for watching. There should be an article below going into more detail about these and the specifications. But apart from that, I'll see you next time.